Ever wondered how you can secure top marks in your thesis? Well, in this video, we're going to discuss it all. So let's decode it. My first tip would be to pick something that you're passionate about. Now, I know that's super obvious, but I just can't emphasize it enough. In my undergrad, in my postgrad, and in my master's, I got an A+ or first class honors in every single one of my thesis. And it is because I done it on something that I really cared about. If you think about it, you are going to spend a huge amount of time studying this research topic. So if it's something that you're not that bothered by, you're not going to want to know more. You're not going to want to deep dive into certain findings and, find out other pieces of information because you're probably going to be sick of it. Whereas if it's something that you're passionate about, you're going to want to keep going. And that's genuinely what I have found through my 3 experiences of writing a thesis. Because I picked something I cared about, I absolutely love spending every single second on that. So for me, I've done this every single time, and I genuinely think this is what gets me that A+. Because my thesis title is often unique to what other people are submitting. So for example, in my undergrad, everybody done their thesis titles on primary education and secondary education because that was my degree, it was education. But I focused my thesis and my research around alternative education and more leaning towards early school leavers. In my higher diploma, I done software engineering, and it was very Java focused and networking focused. And to be honest, that wasn't what I really enjoyed. I loved machine learning and Python, and I actually didn't get to study it in my software engineering degree, but I was doing it in my spare time. So when it came to my research and my thesis, I asked the college, did I have to do something in Java and something in networking? And they said, well, what do you have in mind? And I said, well, I'd love to do something on predictive analysis using logistic regression and Python programming. And they said to me, well, you might struggle with that a little bit because you haven't studied Python programming here. And I was like, don't worry about it. I'll teach myself. Like, I'm happy to do it. And everyone in my class went and done a Java Android application, which was amazing, but mine was obviously a little bit different because it was Python and predictive analysis, and it just made mine stand out a little bit more, I think, and that's why I got the A+. Then in my master's thesis, again, I got an A+, I got a first class honors, and my thesis title was actually in synthetic data. So it was relative to my master's degree because my master's degree was in data analytics. But it was unique in the sense of we never covered synthetic data on the course. So it wasn't something that was widely discussed on the course. It wasn't something we'd really been introduced to. So I was the only person in the course to kind of take that route. And again, I just think that helps along the way, because if you think about it, these supervisors are looking at so many research projects. So if you can have a research project that just stands out and pushes the boundaries of what you can do, I think it makes it more unique. And my third one and my final one, even though there's loads of tips, but I do feel like these 3 tips are what set my projects aside and got me the A. The third one is your time management. And again, I know that's super easy to say and it's like super obvious, but it's not as easy to implement. So it's all well and good saying, oh, I'll be really good at time management, but actually implementing that is a different story. I would always recommend to finish your research project a week before your deadline, because that week between you finishing your thesis and you submitting it leaves all the room to actually format your thesis. And again, when I look at my feedback on my master's degree thesis, I got a lot of positive comments around how it was written, how it was formatted, how it was easy to follow, how my diagrams and architectures were in place, my captions, my references. And that is something that we can take for granted, because sometimes we're going right up to the deadline and we can just like, oh, I'll just justify it, I'll 1.5 line space it, I'll do my Harvard referencing, I'll throw in a cover page. But giving yourself time to actually do a table of contents, a table of tables, a table of equations, having your equations captioned, having your tables captioned, having everything formatted so it's like different chapters and subchapters and subchapters of subchapters, really make for ease of read for your supervisor. And it's also what's going to make them want to give you that A+ and therefore have your thesis in the library. So again, if this is something that's kind of new to you, I would definitely recommend going off and exploring how your thesis should be formatted. The best thing that I done was I looked at previous A+ thesis from my university and looked at how they were formatted, and that honestly set me up for success, because I was like, I never thought about doing a table of equations ever. And it was just little things like that. So definitely give yourself that week to make sure your thesis is as perfectly formatted as it can be. And it will take the week. I know you wouldn't think it does, but when you're at those late stages of your thesis, you're exhausted. And it's actually quite hard to, well, for me anyway, to focus on big tasks. So having just like small tasks to chip away at that I knew we're working towards something really helped me. So again, just to recap, picking something you're passionate about, making it unique and pushing the boundaries, and making sure you give yourself time to format it so that it's ease of read, I think are the 3 best ways that you can give yourself a chance to get an A+ in your thesis. If you enjoyed this video, do subscribe and do like, and I'll see you in the next video.